Hello there guys, and welcome back to our car interior tutorial. And today in this episode we're going to try and get down the center console of the car, leading up onto the dashboard. In the last episode we put together our structural components at the back here. So I think what we're going to want to do to kick off, let's just bring this in. Just to kick this off, I'm actually going to grab these edges here and bring them up, something like that. And I think I'll do the same just here. Cool. Now what we want here is we actually want this portion to pop out, and we want it to pop forward quite considerably, I think. So I think what we'll do to do that is let's grab these faces here. Or maybe take these at the bottom too. Let's actually, before we do that, I'm just going to add in a loop just here. And for this, I'm just going to maybe pull these ones forward. Keep these ones the same. Maybe if we do want to do anything with them, we'll pull them forward ever so slightly. And now we can grab all of these here. So take all of these. I'm going to hit Control E, and we're going to pull this forward. Maybe something like that. That should be okay. And what we'll do with this is, first of all, let's just make sure that here we've got a bit more of a smooth curve feeding around here. We'll probably want to drop these low as well. We'll maybe do the same here. So we'll drop all that down a little bit lower. I think we'll want that to be, that's worked out quite nicely, we'll want that to be pretty much level here. We're going to want to pull all of these into position around about there. So we'll pull these points just to something like that. So it's got that curve, it's maintaining the curve around the side of the seat. We can bring that in. And then we'll really want these to match going all the way down, but I think what we'll do is we will peel them out. Now we won't see these at the bottom here, but obviously we want to make sure it's looking quite nice. Let's just merge each of these to their original positions. Okay, and what we're going to want to do is let's just ditch the additional faces that we've created here. Okay, so that's looking pretty good. It looks like this bit here is going to fall quite nicely for the portion. Maybe we can see it. Nope, can't see it there. We know it's in line there nicely, so let's just maybe pull this down here, something like that. We'll probably want these as well to start following suit down in this direction there. Okay, so that's not looking too bad. So there we will add a little cut. We do have some detail inside here. We have, it looks like a little storage kind of sleeve in there, but I don't think we'll pay too much attention to that just now. It looks like what we might actually want to do here is we might actually want to maybe delete the majority of this, because it looks like the center console is sat on top of a fair protrusion. Now this is a rear wheel drive car, so what that generally means for this center section is we have a long drive shaft going straight down here, which is feeding the power to the wheels from the gearbox, which will be at the front. So it looks like what we're going to want to do is we're going to want to bring this up fairly significantly. It looks like this bit alone comes up to the bottom of the seats. So the well, the top of the seats, should I say. So we'll bring that up, maybe to something like that. Looks like the seat should sit there. We'll probably want to keep the topology and information on here fairly low anyway. So what that means is we can hopefully be able to adjust this should we need to once we've added some information on top. And what we'll probably want to do is we'll want this to come maybe up here. We'll get a slight curve in this, I think. So let's maybe grab these here. I'll bring this up. And we'll merge these points here. And I think I might have grabbed too many. Let's go again. Merge these points. And then we'll want this to merge down here too. So that means we'll want this to kind of feed into that a little bit nicer, like so. And then again, we don't see too much detail down here. We'll keep that going across like so. And then we'll want to snap here, merge, snap over here, merge again. And because we're in the center, we can snap these points here to the center by holding X in Maya. Maybe make a little bit more space here. Now we can drop an edge loop. And then we can merge these as well. So let's just quickly tidy this up a little bit here. Just make sure I've got a nice transition across there. So that's not looking too bad. So that's going to be the tunnel there going down and underneath. Okay, so that's looking okay. What we'll be able to do is we'll be able to see at the top here. So let's grab this, for example. And we'll see that we're actually a little bit too thick. So we can bring this in on the sides here. And we'll go not quite up to it. You can see that this will feed in here quite nicely. And we'll also see that this point here is actually where these should all be merging nicely to, going down here. So what we could maybe do for this is let's grab each of these and straighten them off. I'm actually going to do that with all of these elements. Again, just to make it easier should we need to adjust the size a little bit later on. We'll bring all those in. And we'll do the same with this line and this line. Like so. And then let's see again, it was this one that's in the correct location. So we want all of these to seamlessly transition into it, like so. Looks like I might have done a incorrect scale on here. Okay, so that's not looking too bad. Let's check our top view here then, and we're going to want to start to think about this portion. So I think what we'll do with these is let's get a nice straight line running down here. These ones now can meet the top, but because we don't want it to be completely straight, we can bring these sections here in, leaving the bottom ones a little bit further out, just so we've got a nice little bit of depth to the model there. Okay. And it looks like it actually gets a little bit wider as we go, so maybe we can bring that in just a little bit less each time. That's not going to be a huge deal down here, because we're not going to see that because the dashboard will be increasing up before that point. Okay, so that's looking good. I think here we can maybe have this curve around a little bit nicer as well. Okay, so that's looking good. It looks like as well, we'll maybe want all of these just to come forward a little bit. Maybe bring each of these forward as well, just to get a little bit more of a more dynamic to the element. Okay. So that's looking good. Now we can think about adding more aspects to this. Now let's just get another reference image here. So it looks like this has come up here to the seat. We are then going to want to have additional information on top of this, which then contains the first major element that we'll do, which is the armrest. So let's just grab these ones here. So I'm just going to grab all of the top portions of this. Hit Control E, and let's take this up. Actually, let's not do that. I'm just going to hit Control D on this element, because I think what we're going to want to do is we're going to want to maybe have this separate to the rest of the floor. Let's get all of these here which we won't need. So we'll just keep this bit. Let's hit Control E on this, and we'll take this up, and it looks like maybe about that. Like so. So I think what we'll probably want here is we'll probably want this element here to come down to this point. So probably going to want these to do something like that. We can clear up all these triangles a little bit later. So join all those on there. And then it looks like this is probably about as straight as possible. So let's grab all these points, straighten them all out a little bit. Do something like that. And then, as usual, we'll grab all these points here, delete them. We probably won't need the flow, but we'll leave it there for now. So it looks like we want to be something like that. So we've got our slightly separate portions here. Okay, so again, like I said before, we'll want to leave very little geometry on this, because again, maybe not on the top side obviously, because that's where we'll put the details, but on the lower side, because we may need to adjust the height of this at any point. So let's maybe bring these two elements across to the other side. Now again, we've got plenty of time to add a little bit more detail to these areas here. For now, I think that's going to look okay. So if we go inside here, we can see now that this is looking pretty good. Now, I think the first thing we're going to want to do is create that armrest. So if we bring this in here. Now, what we could do is, it should be a fairly simple build, but even so, let's just going to add a loop straight down the center, and then just ditch the other side just to make it a little bit easier. Now we can see we want this to end somewhere like that, and we want this obviously to come all the way here. So it'll look like we're going to want to be something like that, and then we'll bring this down like so. Okay, and this isn't too tall. I think it looks like it's something like that. Okay, it also has what looks like a handle, so it must have some storage underneath as well. We can see here that it has some shape coming out here. That actually comes out all the way over there. It actually looks like it's very low down, so let's just firstly have a think about this handle. So we could do the handle two ways. We could extrude in on this here. I think that's the way we'll do it. No, actually I think what we'll do is let's insert some loops. So maybe go there and there. I think maybe there. Okay. What we're going to want to do as well is we're going to want to insert a couple of loops to get a bit of more roundness to this. So let's go for 3 along there. Looks okay. So first of all, let's grab all of the actual edges of this. All of these elements here. And first I'm going to bevel them. And 0.5 looks pretty good. Maybe only go for one segment inside, because what we're going to need to do is we are now going to need to edit the position in here, so it's got a quite slight arch to it. So if we bring this down something like that, and then bring it back something like that, looks okay. Let's just grab these points here and bring them out. Bring these to a little bit more of an arch as well. It's not too bad. Let's take this and go in the way with it. What we'll probably actually want to do is, let's actually, before we extrude that in, let's grab our polygon cut tool here. We'll just tidy up this bevel a little bit. Do something like that. And then we'll grab the edges all the way around this edge. I'll bevel this as well, but only ever so slightly. Maybe something like that. And that will allow us to bring this in now a little bit cleaner. Okay, so that's not looking too bad just now. Let's get some edge loops over here. Actually, no, we'll save the loops for now. We'll work with that how it is. We'll bring in and add some further details later should we need to. Let's see if we can get this flipped across too. Okay, so that's looking pretty good, I think. Let's grab this here and bring this down, so we can see that lower bevel a little bit better. Okay, so that's looking okay. It looks like we have some compartments in front here, so I think what we'll want to do is let's make sure we're still straight on these. So I think let's bring this a little bit closer. Over here. We'll insert an edge loop. Just go back to relative. Insert an edge loop down here. Looks fine. And then we'll run one down here too. So what we could do with this is let's just scale this in. Something like that. Let's firstly delete the additional face that we have. And we can snap that to it. Maybe want to extend that as well. And then we can simply grab each of these points here, just hit our extrude, and we'll just drop that down. And then we'll just delete those faces here at the edge. Okay. So it looks like there's a little bit of a handle on there, and we could just do that simply by drop in a primitive on top. And let's grab all the edges here and let's bevel these two. That looks fine. And then we'll maybe drop that down just like so. Okay, so that's looking pretty good. Again, let's maybe chuck this over here for now. Okay, so we're looking good there. Let's just see. So we do have the little cubby on this one here. Cool. Okay. So now I think the next natural transition would be to do the center information here. And what it looks like on the reference images here is that it's actually a whole new element. Let's just insert an edge loop, and it looks like it starts from just in front here. You should be able to see on here if we go something like that. And what we can do just for ease is grab maybe just these. Actually, kind of does go along all underneath here. So it looks like we'll probably want to take most of this. Okay, so I've just duplicated this again. It looks like it is a separate bit. Again, so let's bring this up ever so slightly. Now it does have more of a shape to it as well. So it looks like it's actually a separate portion which has its own kind of leather material applied to it too, and it looks like it's going to curve along here. And we're actually going to be coming out something like that. So it looks like it's going to be doing something like that. So what that means is that our edge here, we actually want to do the same. So we want to grab all this. Bring this out here. Let's stick an edge loop on here to match that, and then we'll grab these here. So it looks like then the main tunnel element here isn't straight all the way down, which isn't uncommon. So let's bring that out here. Okay, looking good. So let's just grab our topmost element here, and let's bring it up maybe to something like that. And I think what we want to do with this is we are going to want all of these edges here maybe to we want this leather element to actually run. Okay, so that's the higher section. So we want this to be over here. Let's actually get rid of all of that. Because what we actually want from this is we're going to want this here. To go around something like that. And we can delete that edge. And the vertices. So we're going to want this to come down and around like so. Because we are going to want to extrude this up, because it kind of bridges up towards the dashboard. So we're actually going to want to do something like that. Let's also delete these faces here. Can drop an edge loop here, we'll maybe go one here, and let's go for one there too. Cool. So we're going to want all these to hug the main center instruments here, and then this to kind of flow around with it. And then it's going to be a case of extruding this up and out to match this kind of bridged portion here. But we don't want to do that just yet. So I'll bring all that in like so. Now it looks like this is going to house the area in the center, so we don't maybe want to fill in this gap here. But we will take this edge here, a little bit further down, and we'll go out. And we'll go out so that we're in line just here. And it is going to be a case that we are going to want to grab all of these edges and bring those down. So we can see that that's actually looking way too tall. Maybe bring that down a little more, something like that. Okay. And let's just flip that over here. So this is going to be the start here of the main unit, which has all the screens and the buttons and all that good stuff inside there. That will then stretch up this portion here onto the actual dashboard, and then we can start to model the dashboard off of this portion here. Okay guys, so I think we'll leave that there. We do have a few bits here that we do need to swap over. So let's just do that real quick before we go. Okay, so we're not looking too bad just now. Progress is fairly slow, but I think once we've got a few more elements in there, we'll start moving a little bit faster. I guess. Cool.